Hey, welcome everyone. Enjoy the quiz and share with us in the comments below how many answers you got correct today. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do not forget to subscribe. Your first question.
Which part of the machine has to be in the down position before you can sew? The take-up lever, the presser foot, or the needle? The answer is the presser foot. What should you do if the take-up lever is not visible? Tell the teacher you broke the machine? It fell off and needs to be replaced? Turn the hand wheel and it will appear. The answer is, turn the hand wheel and it will appear. This controls the movement of the needle and the take-up lever, presser foot, seam gauge, hand wheel, the answer is hand wheel. What controls how fast the machine sews? Foot pedal, presser foot, hand wheel, the answer is foot pedal. What allows the machine to stitch backward to secure your stitches? Stitch patterns, reverse stitch, tension guide, the answer is reverse stitch. What does RST mean in sewing terminology? Right sides together, reverse stitch technique, rolled seam technique, the answer is right sides together. How often should you change the needle on a sewing machine? Every time you start a new project? Every 4 hours? Once a week? The answer is every time you start a new project. What does interfacing do in sewing? Adds decorative stitches? Gives light to heavy support? Creates gathers? The answer is, gives light to heavy support. What is the purpose of a bobbin in a sewing machine? To hold the fabric in place? To create decorative stitches? To form the lower thread? The answer is to form the lower thread. What does the term bias refer to in sewing? The diagonal direction of fabric? The straight grain of fabric? The selvage edge? The answer is the diagonal direction of fabric. What is the purpose of a seam allowance in sewing? To add decorative elements. To join fabric pieces together. To create gathers. The answer is to join fabric pieces together. What type of stitch is commonly used for finishing raw fabric edges to prevent fraying? Straight stitch, zigzag stitch, back stitch, the answer is zigzag stitch. What is the purpose of a seam ripper in sewing? To cut fabric? To remove stitches? To create pleats? The answer is to remove stitches. What does the term notions refer to in sewing? Sewing patterns, fabric types, small sewing supplies and accessories, the answer is small sewing supplies and accessories. What is the purpose of a seam gauge in sewing? To measure seam allowances, to cut fabric, to create pleats. The answer is to measure seam allowances. What does the term selvage refer to in sewing? The finished edge of fabric, the center of the fabric, the diagonal grain of fabric. The answer is the finished edge of fabric. What is the purpose of a walking foot attachment on a sewing machine? To create decorative stitches? To feed multiple layers of fabric evenly? To adjust stitch length? The answer is to feed multiple layers of fabric evenly. What is the term for the process of joining two fabric pieces by overlapping their edges and sewing them together? Seam, hem, seam allowance. The answer is seam. What type of stitch is commonly used for hemming fabric edges? Straight stitch, zigzag stitch, blind hem stitch? The answer is blind hem stitch. What is the purpose of a bobbin winder on a sewing machine? To wind thread onto the bobbin? To adjust stitch tension? To change needle position? The answer is to wind thread onto the bobbin.
Hey, hope you enjoyed the quiz. How many answers did you get correct? Share with us in the comments below, and if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do not forget to subscribe.